The Chicagoland area has a large number of lonely dogs currently filling shelter pens, just waiting to find a family. Nothing adds warmth to a home like a wagging tail and a warm pair of brown eyes. If you are considering adding a dog to your household, visit the Anderson Animal Shelter, where adoption counselors can assist you in selecting your new best friend. Make your house a home. Adopt a shelter dog. To see a current list of adoptees, visit their website at www.
There we go. Sorry about that. If you guys want to catch any more of us, again, happy Monday to everybody here on the XBomb Sports Live Show. Coming to you live here from the LM Media School in the O'Hare campus. If you guys want to check us out anymore, we're on twitch.tv/XBomb Sports and youtube.com/XBomb Sports, where we are streaming every Monday. Again, that's around 10 o'clock, so be on the lookout for that. You guys can also as well catch us every... you can also catch us on oh my God, I'm sorry, my mind's all over the place now. You guys can catch us on the social media side too of things as well, on Twitter and on Instagram at XBomb Sports. And if you guys too also want to be able to ask us any questions or comments, you can always hit us up at xbsportsofficial@gmail.com for anything you guys want to talk to us about on that front as well. And again, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to jump right into this because we've got some limited time to work with, and we're going to just roll into it. So first things first, we're going to start off with the NBA Finals, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. The NBA Finals is currently underway, of course, and we may be coming down to the end of it. Tonight is Game 6, but as you probably did or did not see, if you need a recap for it, or excuse me, not Game 6, Game 5. Game 4 happened this past week, and obviously it was kind of a shocker, maybe not so much. This is something that seems to happen quite a bit, right? Team goes up 3-0 against another team. All of a sudden, Game 4, you see the other team be like, hey, we're not going to stand for this. We're going to kind of turn up the energy a little bit here. And Game 4, Dallas Mavericks come out and they pull off a big upset. In fact, it's the fourth biggest upset in NBA Finals history for a game. 122-184 was the final outcome. Not a good showing, obviously, by Boston. Dallas played a heck of a game, and credit to them, right? Because Luka played his butt off. I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen Luka play really hard-nosed defense. Maybe he should do this more often, because the guy actually, he looks like he can play some really good ball when he wants to. The guy looks like he can actually be like a really good player all the way around, not just on offense, but on defense as well, when he decides to do so. But this is one of those moments where it's like, yeah, your best player has to step up in the biggest moment. And he did. He sacrificed for a lot of what he does, rebounding-wise, assist-wise, and he did a really good job helping them big time on the defensive side of the ball, getting steals, getting opportunities to force guys into turnovers, and that's kind of what you need from your best players. And obviously Kyrie has a game himself. You have guys coming off the bench for the Dallas Mavericks that, give some really important minutes for them to be able to kind of give rest to the starters and also be able to add some points in defense as well. It's a good showing. It's just, what's it all for, right? Because the Celtics so far have looked like the most dominant team in the NBA. right? They have looked like that kind of a team through and through. And right now for the Boston Celtics, they control their future, right? It's in their hands basically on what happens here on out in game 5 versus the Celtics. They hold all the cards. They have everything in place for them to be successful. They have everything within their grasp to be able to say, "Hey, we're going to get our 18th championship for the franchise." Which, hey, look, I think it's going to happen. I believe that that's what's going to happen in this case, but nevertheless, Celtics still have to be careful here because you just had one of your worst showings as a team for the year, right? I mean, it's one game, yes, but your defense was lacking. Your offense was way off. I mean, they shot under 40% from the field, under 30% from three. They looked terrible. They looked like the Celtics team that was just barely hanging around above average way back in those early days of Brad Stevens, where it was kind of like, is this gonna work? I don't know. Like it was those rough patches, or the rough patches of, the Doc Rivers kind of lull days when Garnett and Allen and Pierce were kind of coming out of their prime and getting into being the older players. Certainly, I'm interested to see how Boston bounces back on this because, Tatum's a star player, Jaylen Brown's a star player. These are guys that are really talented, and maybe they don't always put up the biggest numbers and the biggest points, but these are guys that certainly, when you give them the opportunity, they will step up and they will have success, right? They will find ways to get the job done. And that's important. That is critical and important stuff that I think we need to hang our hats on and say that these guys come in clutch when it's necessary. Now, Tatum gets this label on him like, well, he's not really clutch. He actually disappears during big games. And yes, he has. But when I refer to clutch, it doesn't always mean the shot. It sometimes means getting the defensive steal, getting the pressure, right? Making the rebound, getting the block shot. Both of these guys sometimes come in at the best moments to be able to make plays. And whether you want to argue which one is more important to the team over the other, that's entirely up for the debate. That's entirely up to you on how you want to view it and how you want to see it. The question that stands right now for the Celtics is, well, can they find a way to get up against this Dallas Mavericks team and fight against them when they're in that kind of a dogfight where it's like, okay, we're down and out. We don't have our best shots falling. Can we shut down Dallas enough to be able to make sure that we stay on top of their game? And look, for Dallas, on the opposing side of this, it's do or die for this team, right? They have very limited options right now standing in front of them. They have to play their best basketball from here on out if they want any chance to be able to succeed in this finals. Because right now, I'm looking at the Mavericks and I'm seeing Doncic and I'm looking at Irving and I'm looking at those two teams and going, yeah, the level of success right now that's standing in front of them, it's there. They can take it if they want to, but it's those two guys that have to deliver, and the rest of the team has to fall in line behind them. And I have no idea if they can do that or not. I like P.J. Washington. I like Daniel Gafford. I like Derek Lively, and I think he should be a starter. But I can't help but look at that team and go, outside of Doncic and Irving, I don't know if they – like Tim Hardaway should be a guy that I feel like – should be there with them. But his best role is coming off the bench as a three-point specialist, right? Like Gafford's kind of more of a rebounding defensive specialist. P.J. Washington's supposed to be like an inside scoring option for them, but he's not always there, right? He's supposed to be like a stretch four when he came out of Kentucky. He's not really that anymore. He's kind of just like a rebound, offensive inside specialist kind of guy. I mean, Dallas doesn't really have a lot of things to hang their hats on. And so for me to be able to kind of pick them and say, well, hey, Dallas is going to figure it out, right? Don't worry. Hey, the Mavericks, they'll be okay. They'll answer the question. Will they? Because I look at their roster, I don't see anybody other than Derek Lively the second who's going to be like an impact player. Like I would tell everybody right now, like the big focus I would say for the Dallas Mavericks to kind of take and make would be to start Derek Lively with Daniel Gafford to give them a bigger front court, rebounding defense up front for shot blocking, and give them the ability to be able to kind of take away that space, right? I would probably keep PJ Washington out there, but he would play the small forward spot. And that would kind of allow you to have a bigger team out there, play more defense down low, have more inside scoring there, and then allow your two guys to be able to kind of spread the floor and score from mid-range to the outside threes. That's just me. I look at that team and I think, man, they're better when Lively's out there. He gives them so much in terms of shot blocking and rebounding and defense. He's a really good player for as young as he is. He's really talented. Problem seems to be, though, is that for whatever reason, they like Gafford more than they like Lively. Maybe it's because he's a veteran. Maybe it's because they think he's a better rebounder and a better shot blocker. I don't know. I've seen Derek Lively play at Duke, and I've seen him play now in the pros, and he adds an element to the game that I think is necessary. Not only that, but he adds points. He's bigger. I don't say he's stronger. I don't know if he's that, but there's more agility to him, and there's more of a youthful energy that comes from Derek Lively than I see from Gafford. Gafford gives hustle, sure, but Gafford also looks like he gets gassed pretty quickly. You press into him, you start wrestling him, you start muscling him inside. He's eventually going to start to wear and tear down, and before you know it, he's coming out of the game because he needs a break, he needs a breather. I mean, he muscles through, don't get me wrong. He'll push, right? But from where I thought at the very beginning of his career where the guy had a motor. The guy did have a motor at the beginning. For some reason, it's like they downgraded that thing. It went from like an 8-cylinder to a 4-cylinder. Like that thing is just not humming the way it used to be. I don't know. I'm conflicted to say that Dallas. I don't want to say Dallas is out of it, but I don't think the Mavericks have as good a chance as they want us all, as people want us to believe, right? I don't want to sell my stock on them to say that they can't pull off an upset. But I don't want to sit here also and be able to tell you that the Dallas Mavericks are also going to be one of those franchises who are going to pull off one of the great upsets. I don't think it's going to happen. Like I've heard from a lot of people, it looks like a varsity team versus a JV squad out there. Boston just has that better team-oriented look to themselves that just helps them be a better unit. Dallas, they're brand new to this. Luka's young, complaining to the refs, right? I mean, that's a big thing too, right? Luka's fighting with the refs. He's fighting with the fact that he says, hey, officiating's been bad. Why am I getting all these bad calls? Look, that's going to happen, man. He's one of the best in the game. Right, I ventured to say that he is probably a close comparison to like a Carmelo Anthony kind of guy. Which, let's be honest, Carmelo at one point was one of the top 10 players in the league for a long period of time. Those Denver Nuggets days into the New York Knicks days, those were Carmelo Anthony, some of his finest moments. And Luka Doncic has a lot of those sort of similar characteristics. The one thing that he can do, though, is that he could be a much better defender with his size and quickness. He could be such a better defender. He just has to work on it. I think Dallas has a good shot here, but Boston has shown to be the better team, and that's why this is Judgment Day, right? Game 5 here, this is Judgment Day. Do or die situation for Dallas. Boston has all the cards. This is the moment for these two teams to prove to themselves, hey, either we're going to be champions or the other one's going to say, hey, we got another game to survive. We're going to push this thing to game 7. We're going to win this thing. These are huge pivotal moments for both teams, right? That's what this is. Both teams have an opportunity to kind of create their destiny right now. I said this before. last week, I think it was, right? The Celtics, I don't think are a dynasty in the making. I think they're going to be more accumulative to the 2008 Celtics team that won one championship and that was it. Which is fine. You win the title. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I don't think we're going – it's a chance for them to lock their place in NBA lore, right? Create their legacy. This gives Tatum and Brown opportunities to be – maybe some of the best Celtics to ever play the game if it's all said and done by the end of their careers, potentially.
The Chicagoland area has a large number of lonely dogs currently filling shelter pens, just waiting to find a family.
It's okay.
Nothing adds warmth to a home like a wagging tail and a warm pair of brown eyes. If you are considering adding a dog to your household, visit the Anderson Animal Shelter, where adoption counseling...
You know what? It wouldn't be our show if it's something like this didn't happen every once in a while. It's okay. It's okay. Sorry about that, folks. That's an X-Bomb, just so everybody knows, that's an X-Bomb trope at this point. The wrong thing coming in at the wrong time. It's okay. It's all good. We're good, guys. We're okay. Antonio, you're okay. It's okay. But I think it's a pivotal moment for the Celtics because it defines their legacy. It gives them a chance to be some of the best Celtics of all time, be in that lore and that legacy of guys who have won championships. For the Dallas Mavericks, though, if they could actually pull off this upset, one, it's one of the biggest upsets, I think, in NBA history. Two, though, this is also a confirmation for Kyrie Irving's legacy as far as being a Hall of Famer, which I think he already is. It also now helps solidify Luka Doncic's place as one of the best players in the NBA. Because there's a lot of people that want to argue that he is one of the best in the NBA, but where does he rank, right? You could argue this year he was the best player in the NBA by his numbers. He almost averaged a triple-double just like Jokic. Now, Jokic, I would say, definitely is the best player in the league. 3 MVPs kind of proves that. And his numbers and his success with the Denver Nuggets are right there, right? But he could also come out of this just winning one championship, so who knows? Luka has the opportunity to say, look, I got a lot more career left in me. I mean, so does Jokic, by the way, too. But Luka's still young enough where he could go, if we get a good enough team around here in Dallas, I could go on a run. I could create my own dynasty, my own back-to-back three-peat. Who knows, right? The opportunity for these two teams to be able to decide how their future is going to play out, it starts here in Game 5. This is the huge moment that they're looking for, right? Game 5 is a pivotal moment in both these teams' futures. Boston wins it. They lock down their legacy. They get their 18th title. They are arguing for the greatest franchise in the NBA, right? I would still contend the Lakers are there, but you can make that argument. On the other side of this, if Dallas can pull this off, I mean, Luka goes down in history right there with Dirk Nowitzki as one of the only guys to win a title for Dallas, right? They go down in history. People remember them. People are remembered of their legacy, all that kind of good stuff. I'm intrigued to see how this one plays out. This is a good matchup. This is a strong matchup. I like the way that this game looks like it might be able to pan and play out. So I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see how this battle goes down. Tonight, Game 5, I believe that's 7:30 p.m. Central Time for myself. I'm going to be watching. We're going to see what happens. If Boston pulls this off, congratulations to them. If the Mavericks pull this off, they get another chance to be able to survive and advance, but they are going to have to pull out all the stops to beat this Celtics team. I don't know if they can or not. I don't know if they have enough firepower. If you play the same way you did last game, yeah, you're going to win. You're going to win, and you're going to change the momentum of this series. But if the Celtics get back a healthy Porzingis who can go 100%, we've seen what that team looks like. We've seen without Porzingis what they look like. It's all going to come down to the two stars on each side. Tatum and Brown for the Celtics, Irving and Doncic for the Mavericks. Who's going to be the shot maker? Who's going to be the play defender? Who's going to be the guys that make those big moments happen? I can't wait to find out. We're going to find out. We're going to find out here tonight. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, obviously let us know, what do you think about the NBA Finals? Have you been intrigued by it? What are your thoughts on the Celtics, the Mavericks? Do you think the Mavericks can pull off an upset? Do you think the Celtics clinch it here in Game 5? Let us know. Comment section down below. We want to hear from you guys, or, of course, email us as well at our email, xbsportsofficial@gmail.com. When we get back here, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to answer your fan questions. We got a couple in the NFL, and then, thanks to what was a very strange yet riveting conversation we had last week in one of our fan questions, we're gonna answer another question based off of that. Thanks to that, so don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back here on the XBomb Sports Live Show.
Can assist you in selecting your new best friend. Make your house a home. Adopt a shelter dog. To see a current list of adoptees, visit their website at www.andersonanimalshelter.org or meet them in person at 1000 South LaFox Street in South Elgin. Don't have room in the home for a new furry family member? Donations of toys, collars, and soft or hard non-perishable dog food are always accepted and are greatly appreciated. All animals are spayed or neutered and are waiting with tails wagging to find a loving home. Visit 1000 South LaFox Street in South Elgin or www.andersonanimalshelter.org for more details. Throughout the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, Judy Finelli established herself as a masterful juggler and performer, making appearances everywhere from Carnegie Hall to Sesame Street. With her loving heart, she has brought warm smiles to children everywhere she has performed. She even started the San Francisco School for the Circus Arts, but shortly after she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and by 2004 she was completely paralyzed. In celebration of her accomplishments and to fight the illness that had crippled Judy, a group of students from the San Francisco Clown College have compiled the perfect holiday present for those who want to laugh and to help those struggling with the illness. The goal has been set at $1 million raised, with 100% of any dollar made to be donated to the Judy Finelli Fund, which is helping find a cure to multiple sclerosis. Visit www.circuscenter.org to make a donation or to purchase a framed Naked Clown photo or the full Naked Clown 12-month calendar. Remember, 100% of every dollar is donated and goes to fighting MS.
Man, are you still working out? It's like 1,000 degrees.
Intense heat is nothing. To get an intense workout, you gotta be intense.
Our friend here is getting an intense workout with the intense cool of his Hydrotech Cool Breeze shoes, which brings your feet a cooling sensation that is the best on the market today. Can only be explained with one word:
Intense!
Whether you're working out hard or just taking a stroll, these shoes have got your back, or I should say, your feet.
Aren't these shoes intense?
Maybe a little too intense, but there's no doubt they're cool.
The Chicagoland area has a large number of lonely dogs currently filling shelter pens, just waiting to find a family. Nothing adds warmth to a home like a wagging tail and a warm pair of brown eyes. If you are considering adding a dog to your household, visit the Anderson Animal Shelter, where adoption counselors can assist you in selecting your new best friend. Make your house a home. Adopt a shelter dog. To see a current list of adoptees, visit their website at www.andersonanimalshelter.org or meet them in person at 1000 South LaFox Street in South Elgin. Don't have room in the home for a new furry family member? Donations of toys, collars, and soft or hard non-perishable dog food are always accepted and are greatly appreciated. All animals are spayed or neutered and are waiting with tails wagging to find a loving home. Visit 1000 South LaFox Street in South Elgin or www.andersonanimalshelter.org for more details. Throughout the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, Judy Finelli established herself as a masterful juggler and performer, making appearances everywhere from Carnegie Hall to Sesame Street. With her loving heart, she has brought warm smiles to children everywhere she has performed.
And welcome back, everybody, here to the XBomb Sports Live Show. I hope you all are having a good one again, too, ladies and gentlemen. We just got done talking about the NBA Finals, and then we had a fun time with the commercial break. As always, though, of course, ladies and gentlemen, just please understand we have some technical things here and there that we're still working through. So apologies for that. It's okay. It's all good. But, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. We're doing X-Bomb fan questions. Yes, as we usually do. We answer your questions, and we give you the take-backs on exactly what you're asking us. Be it sports-related or not sports-related, it doesn't matter. We always answer your questions all the time. One of the questions, actually, that we got, I'm not even going to – I'll ask it, but I don't need an answer to it. But it was, if you can be any kind of pig, what pig would you be? What kind of, like – what? First off, why did Scotty have to set the premise of, like, us being an animal show now? First off, we started off as being, like, ask us the cooking show food questions because hot dog versus taco thing. Or hot dogs are tacos or tacos are hot dog. Whatever it was. I don't remember anymore. You guys, I love you, but these questions are getting outrageously weird. But please keep asking them, of course, if you guys want to ask us any more questions. xbsportsofficial@gmail.com. Like I said, any questions you have, any comments you have, we will always take them no matter what. Let's start this one off with the first question we have. This came from Michael. Michael is from Indiana. Michael asked us the question. He said, our quarterback contracts seem getting out insane right now after Trevor Lawrence got his brand new deal of $55 million a year. Is it fair to say that potentially Trevor Lawrence did not deserve the money, or is this a sign of just things to come where an average quarterback can get paid a lot of money? Kind of yes to all of it, really. Look, Trevor Lawrence getting his new deal that matches Joe Burrow's, basically, it's a sign of what's happening, right? Quarterbacks get paid a lot of money nowadays because they are the most valuable position in the NFL. If you don't have the right quarterback, you're not going to win championships nowadays, right? Back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, if you had an average quarterback, you could easily get by and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Nowadays, if you don't have the right guy that can actually come in, stick in there, and actually make plays and throw the football well and be a leader and be a commander, you're not going to survive. You're not going to have a lot of success. So it is critical to get the quarterback thing just right. So if you're asking me if Trevor Lawrence is worth $55 million a year, yeah, I think he is. Now, I've seen the stat that he sent me as well, right? Michael, you sent me this. 69 touchdowns and 60 interceptions in the last 3 years. Yeah, that's bad. That's not good, right? Okay, but here's what I'll tell you, Michael. Is Jacksonville anywhere near the level of successful over the last few years? Do they look anything like a team that possibly could be able to take that next step if they don't have Trevor Lawrence? I mean, so many people were sold on Gardner Minshew being the future starting quarterback of the Jaguars. And look, Gardner Minshew's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. Is Trevor Lawrence a good quarterback? I think he's a good quarterback now, but I think you could say he could be a great one at some point. The arm talent, the accuracy, mobility, staying in the pocket, vision, footwork. He's got all the skill sets that could make him a talented QB, one of the best QBs in the league. Keep this in mind, too. 2 years ago, he goes to the playoffs with the Jaguars. They start off 1-7. People are calling them one of the worst teams in the NFL because they looked like it. 1-7. Overpaid for Christian Kirk. Evan Ingram, he's a waste of talent. Trevor Etienne, a wasted draft pick. James Robinson, never should have got rid of him. All these criticisms that were made against the Jaguars. And Trevor Lawrence bears the burden of first year, he's the best talent since Andrew Luck. Well, he didn't really do very well underneath Urban Meyer. New coach Doug Peterson comes in. They start 1-7. This is going to get ugly. They go 8-1 through the last half of the season, the second half of the season, and they end up going to the playoffs. They win the division, and then they're down 28-7. Trevor Lawrence is playing a terrible game. He throws 3 touchdowns in the second half. 28 unanswered points, the Jaguars win the game. And it's one of the greatest comebacks in NFL playoff history. That was supposed to be Justin Herbert's moment to shine. And Trevor Lawrence said, no, you're not going to have this. I'm going to take it. How could you deny that he's not great? There's greatness in him. He's not that he's great. There's greatness in him. He's not a great quarterback. He could get there, though. But he's good to very good, and he has the potential. But in that moment, you saw greatness. He stayed on point with his passes. He didn't let hits affect him. He got his poise and control back underway. His footwork was better. His arm angles were better. Everything about him in that moment was better. First half, he's nervous, jittery. First year in, second year in, how are you going to do this? How is he going to perform? He steps in there and he looks like a pro. And also the question becomes, well, who else do the Jaguars have? Everybody else in that draft class is now on a different team. Mac Jones is his backup, and he was taken 14 spots after Trevor Lawrence was taken. Some thought he might be the better quarterback because he had a better rookie year. And I thought that was laughable. I think a lot of people did too, but there were some that were trying to argue that whole position. Trevor Lawrence is the guy. Now, yeah, quarterback contracts are insane, right? I wish I was 6'5", born with a bigger, stronger arm, and also looked like Brad Pitt, because all those guys look like, every quarterback's got to look like a superstar. They got to look like a movie star, a Hall of Famer, a supermodel, right? And I only wish. But at the same time, too, because they make so much money, I also don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, that's the business of football. But I agree, the contracts are getting out of hand. And here's the problem. When you pay a quarterback, you end up sacrificing for the rest of the team. Right? You look at San Francisco, right? Brock Purdy's so talented for them. God, he's talented. But once you pay Brock Purdy, well, you're paying Christian McCaffrey, and he's got a new deal, right? He just got an extension. Paying Deebo Samuel, you have to maybe pay Brandon Ayuk. You're paying Trent Williams. You're paying a lot of other players like Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. You're paying all these guys. At some point, you gotta have a sacrifice somewhere on the roster to be able to afford, especially if you're paying a quarterback, especially a guy that was picked in the 7th round that has now been to 2 NFC championships, and he's got to a Super Bowl. He's going to ask for a lot of money. I agree with you. The contracts are a little bit out of hand. They're insane. But Trevor Lawrence absolutely deserves that deal. There's no other way around it. The Jaguars, what are they going to do? They have no other option. You got to trade for Dak? That's draft capital. You got to keep that. You got to sign one of these lower rate quarterbacks? That's not going to happen because otherwise a lot of these other guys are going to go. This is how you keep a team together. You put in the confidence. And Trevor Lawrence for that team gives them the confidence. Agree to disagree, shall we say, Michael? Thank you for the question. All right, this next one, this comes from Daniel. Daniel is from New York, or Buffalo, New York. He said, I'm a huge Buffalo Bills fan, but I got to know what your thoughts are on Aaron Rodgers not being at the New York Jets camp. I'm really excited about it because I think they're just going to have another terrible season. But what are your thoughts? Do you think that Rodgers will be bad this year? Or do you think it's just it's that he's old and he needs the rest? I'm kind of in both camps on this again. Look, he's 40 years old. I understand. You don't need to be at training camp. You don't need to be at all these mandatory mini camps. You don't have to do all this. I get it. Save your body. Save your break. You don't have to do it, right? Robert Griffin III, former quarterback in the NFL, pointed out on being an analyst that, Tom Brady for 5 years there at the very end, he didn't go to any mini camps. He didn't go to any starts of training camps. He missed all that stuff for like the first couple of years, right? He didn't do any of that stuff for like 5 years straight, and he still won Super Bowls, right? They still had a lot of success. And I understand what Robert Griffin III is trying to say there. Here's where you lose me, though. One guy in Tom Brady has won a lot of Super Bowls. The other guy is Aaron Rodgers, where he's won a Super Bowl. Both are going to go down in history as top 5 all-time great quarterbacks, I believe. But Aaron Rodgers doesn't have the same championship equity that Tom Brady has. Tom Brady can take time off, and people will still buy into him because he's Tom Brady. He's won a lot of titles. Aaron Rodgers can't really take a lot of time off, even though, yeah, you've won MVPs, you've won championships, you're one of the best ever to play the game at your position. But you've only won a single ring. And one championship doesn't really, I think, define all-time great legacy. For Aaron, it's going to be about, where's his stats at? Here's all the MVPs he has. Here's all the Pro Bowls he has. Here's all the All-Pros he's gotten. Like, Tom Brady's going to go down to history. He's going to forever be remembered as the greatest quarterback that ever played the game. Aaron Rodgers could possibly do the same, but you've got to win a championship. And how do you do that? You build chemistry. You build camaraderie. You make sure that the other guys see that you're there working hard, because then they're going to buy in and work hard too. That's what leaders do. That's what counts. Being a leader helps to define your team. And Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to be quite honest, never has come off to me as wanting to be a leader. He's always wanted to just be a guy. And I'm sorry to say, but you can't just be a guy as the quarterback. You could be the quiet guy. You could be the silent type. But at some point, you got to be a leader. And I don't know if he's always a leader. I think he's like 50% in at football being a leader and 50% out of football being the regular Joe. He's passive-aggressive. He's super egotistical, narcissistic. He believes all his own BS. He thinks everything he does is somehow going to be the next big thing. He thinks he's a trendsetter. The only thing that Aaron Rodgers has ever been a trendsetter on is he gave up the discount double check for State Farm. That whole thing where he did the championship belt jump and all that stuff. That's the only thing he's really provided to us in history as far as being a pop culture icon of any kind. He didn't get the job with Jeopardy, right? He guest hosted Jeopardy, but he was never going to get the Jeopardy job because everybody said, according to the voting polls, we don't really care about him. He's not really that important. Because he's not a Jeopardy guy. He's a football player. I don't know. I understand not wanting to be at minicamp because he's an older guy. Rest your body, get ready for the season, all that kinds of. I mean, he's coming off a major injury too, right? Rehab, relax, get yourself in body in order, and make sure you come in 100% healthy. Don't push it too much. But I would say, at least if anything, be at camp. Be there. Show them that you're working hard to try and come back. Show them that you're still trying to rehab, that you're still trying to get stuff done. He's on vacation. Probably somewhere in Europe, in the deepest, darkest jungles of Uzbekistan or wherever he's at, right? Because he's like, I found this wonder drug. It's on a flower in the middle of the Kobayashi Mountains, and I'm going to walk up the mountains barefoot with no shirt on, and I have to put mud on my face to be able to get past the Hukikata spirits or whatever, and then I can go eat the flower, and I can zone out for like a week and a half because it's going to be so metaphysically inspired. Like, I'm joking, of course. Like, this dude is obviously into some weird stuff. He's obviously kind of like in that he's having like the weirdest midlife crisis I've ever seen in my life, right? 40 years old, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna date Shailene Woodley, and we're gonna take ayahuasca, and we're gonna go trip out in the woods for like a week. Okay, cool, man. I'm all for holistic medicine. I'm all for it. Like, yeah, let's try some new stuff and everything. But like, he's just an oddball. He's not close with his family. He doesn't really seem to get close too much with his teammates. Coaches don't seem to really like him all that much, it seems, very often. He's very passive-aggressive with the media. He doesn't really seem to want to care about football that much, and yet he cares about football. There's so much oddball with this guy, and it's hard to get a read on him. But where I'm standing at right now, if Aaron doesn't want to go to camp, fine. But if the Jets have a terrible season, guess who's going to get all the blame? They're already saying that if they fall apart, whose fault is it? It's Aaron's fault. They're not even going to give Robert Saleh a lick of opportunity to say, hey, my bad. No. It's on Aaron Rodgers. Which it's not going to all be on his shoulders, but if this team doesn't look good enough on offense, if they're not winning games within the first 6 weeks, he's going to take a brunt of the blame. Because you wanted to take a vacation. Because you wanted to take a break. And he's going to catch all the heat for it. That's how it's going to go. I can tell you right now, that's how it's going to go. Appreciate the question. Thank you so much. I honestly think the Jets are going to have a bad season this year. I really do. I don't see it getting any better for them. Ay, jeez, Rodgers. Go. I'll tell you what, man. You can take all the peyote you want in the world, man. It's not going to help you see see the championship any better. My God. All right, and the last one we've got. This was a question. This came from. This came from Aaron. Aaron is actually from Houston, Texas. I'm not going to do a Texas accent, Aaron, so don't worry. But he asked us, he said, I was watching the show last week. I saw you guys talking about sexy cartoon characters. He goes, what? WTF, guys? I didn't bring it up. I want to be fair. I brought up our childhood crushes. That one in the back there, Antonia, brought up the hottest cartoons, which is fine. I'm not. He said, but I just want to ask you guys, since we're on that topic, I was talking with my wife, and we were kind of talking about old cartoons, so I thought I'd ask the question before I watch the show again. Wanted to ask you, what are you guys thinking about as far as like your all-time favorite cartoons growing up, or do you still watch cartoons to this day, and what are some of your favorites to this day? SpongeBob? Still watch SpongeBob, or is that just like an all-time favorite for you? Okay, all right. I will admit I'm still on the SpongeBob kick as well, to a degree. I more watch it with my younger cousins now. I don't really watch it on a regular basis. As far as cartoons go, God, I mean, I'm kind of in the same. For those who don't know, our man Julius Daniel, who's on Tony Smolzik's Big J, catch them every Friday, by the way, at 10 o'clock. They had a very interesting show this past week. Me and Julius are kind of in the same boat, which is why I think we get along so well, because I watch a lot of anime. For those that don't know, that's Japanese cartoons, more or less. So things like Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, I watched a lot of that growing up as a kid. I don't know if you'll know this show, Antonia. Did you watch Cartoon Network at all as a grown up? Okay. Did you ever see a show? It was a French show that was done in Japanese style. And it was a show that started 2D and then went 3D. It was called Code Lyoko. Eddie, you know that at all? Okay. Yeah, it was kids at a boarding school that kind of like had the Matrix kind of thing. Like they would go into these pods and they would be transported into this 3D world that was like rendered in a computer to be 3D and would like fight enemies and stuff to stop a bad guy called Xana, I think was the name of it. I've watched that I don't know how many different times and stuff. It's been a while. I know it's on Netflix, I think, and stuff, but like it was a strange show, but it like I was at that point I was like into Matrix and stuff like that, all kinds of stuff. That was kind of more my forte. I used to watch things like Hey Arnold, Rugrats, Dexter's Laboratory was a big one for me. Courage the Cowardly Dog was another big one. That probably explains a lot of why I favor horror so much in that kind of sense. So I'm trying to think what else was there that I watched. As far as cartoons, I watch a lot of these cartoons like later on as well too. Probably the most recent like cartoon, I guess it would count as a cartoon, I don't really know, would be that I've watched on my own purposely has been the Jurassic World, Camp Cretaceous, and Chaos Theory on Netflix, because I'm a Jurassic Park guy, so that's kind of my forte. Um, Trying to think what else was there when I was watching growing up as a kid. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. That is what I have since watched back. Are you familiar with any of these at all, Antonia? Okay, I'm just making sure. If Scotty were here, it'd be a completely different world. I feel like I don't know if he would know any of these cartoons. Do you remember one that? What was it? It was one with a monkey that went to like a camp. Okay, I don't. I can't remember the name of it now. Jeez, there were animals that were at like a camp. They were like at a summer camp, and they were all animals and stuff. Um, I've watched a lot of Adventure Time. That was a lot during middle school, high school. Um, yeah, I've seen a lot of different ones. I kind of fell off, I think, right around during college. Like I just stopped really watching more. I was watching a lot more like movies and dramas at that point. I was also picking up a book more, so I could actually like. I was like, you know what? Maybe I should read a book or two, because college can sometimes, when you go to a very conservative Christian college, it can be kind of boring. So you got to learn how to entertain yourself at times. So I'm trying to think what else was there cartoons wise. I can't think of other ones that I might have watched. I don't know. Antonio, what about you? Are there any that stuck out to you outside of SpongeBob that you used to watch? No, you were just all SpongeBob? Okay. Uh, Trying to think. Uh, I mean, anything. I mean, WB Kids was probably where I lived at. Oh, Pokemon Dragon Tales. I have watched that. Caillou. That was that. I definitely watched those. My grandmother never had cable, so I would always watch the PBS shows, which was Dragon Tales, Teletubbies, Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, of course. Well, Mr. Rogers wasn't really a cartoon, so I guess that doesn't really count. What was the ball? What? Oh yeah, so they don't really count either. What was the bald kid's name? What was Caillou? Yes, that was the other one. There was another one on there too where a kid was like really small. He was like I forgot what it was. That PBS was supposed to be like the learning channel, and yet they had some really strange shows on there. Um, they had Clifford as well. Oh, and they had a math show on there too. What was it called? Oh my god. Yes, yes. Oh my god. Thank you. God, I could not remember that for like the last 5 years. I've been trying to remember that show's name. I couldn't remember it at all. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Antonia. I could, and yet for some reason I still sucked at math. I couldn't pass it to save my life. You failed me, Cyber Chase. You failed me. Um, yeah, that's kind of where I think my cartoons were kind of at. I mean, I don't really watch too many back. I did try and watch Rick and Morty a little bit, but I never could stay with it. I think I'm beyond that kind of, not that I'm above it. I think I'm beyond that kind of like cartoon effort. Although apparently there's something on HBO Max called Smiling Friends that I found one of my cousins are watching now. It's an Adult Swim cartoon and it's very odd. Um, I don't know how people will watch it. I don't know how kids watch it. I don't think kids should be watching it. Um, yeah, I'm not the parent, so I'm not in control of that. So that's my hand off of that mess. But yeah, I can't think of any other cartoons other than that. I mean, I stayed pretty basic. I was a kid that watched a lot of that Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network kind of stuff. You know, WB Kids in the morning and stuff like that. Animaniacs. I didn't really watch too many superhero stuff, so I didn't really watch X-Men, Spider-Man, Batman, all that kind of stuff. I didn't really do that. Um, I did watch a show called Teen Titans, though. That was probably the only superhero character I watched growing up. Other than that, that's probably about it that I can remember. My mind is kind of all over the place at this point, so it's hard to remember all the cartoons. But thank you guys so much for the questions. I appreciate it. Again, if you guys want to ask us any more questions as well, xbsportsofficial@gmail.com. We love getting your questions. We love getting your comments. We appreciate it. Please, guys, keep sending them. Again, no matter how strange they are, I don't really care. What kind of pig you are. I don't know. A wild boar. There. I answered your question. Please keep asking them. And that's going to do it for our show, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be the end of it. If you guys obviously enjoyed this one, please make sure to go to the YouTube, go to the Twitch side of things. Give us a like, give us a love, give us a thumbs up. Let us know what you thought about the show. Give us some comments, some questions, things like that in the comment section down below. You can find us, of course, on there. It's youtube.com/xbombsports, and it's twitch.com/xbombsports. You guys can also catch us as well. We are on social media too. We are on the social media side as well. At Instagram and Twitter, both are at xbombsports. So if you guys want to follow us anymore, you can find us there. If you guys have any other questions, again, or comments as well, you can always hit us up here too at xbsportsofficial@gmail.com, just like we said. We love to get your questions. We love to get your comments as always. Also, too, I did promote them. I want to make sure to promote them again as well. Tony Smalls x Big J, live on Friday at 10 o'clock a.m. Central Time. Be there or be square, folks, on YouTube and on Twitch. That is Tony Smalls x Big J, no matter how many times Julius may not get that right. We just started. They just started playing It Takes Two, and are you enjoying yourself, Antonia? Okay, good. This episode was the first one. Very funny. Had a lot of fun with this. Very entertaining. And they just started, so there's a lot. There's a lot more. I'll be honest. I played it back this weekend, and I had a lot of fun watching it. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, because it's a very good streaming game, I would say, because it requires both of you to work together. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. This first one was incredible. So go check it out, guys. Go like it. Go give them some love. They've done a great job again, guys. They continue to do great work, and I will be there as well, helping them manage this situation and hoping that they don't, because they got frustrated. They got pretty frustrated, I think, in this first one. So, and it's only going to get harder from here on in. So, yeah, definitely be there for all the fun and madness and craziness that'll ensue. And with that, you guys can check me out as well. I'm at The Fluffy Guru on Twitter. I'm also at Boom Crew Captain on Instagram as well. Also, too, I want to be able to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, to Antonio's father as well, and to my father as well, and all the fathers out there, all those stepfathers and the father figures out there in the world. I want to be able to have you all say, even though it's belated, Happy Father's Day to you all. I hope you all had enjoyed your Father's Day gifts, have enjoyed your Father's Day peace, maybe, or your meals, whatever the case was. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was a great time. We wouldn't be in this world without you, so we want to say thank you to you all. Again, a belated Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get out of here. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. We will see you guys next Monday, as long as everything is copacetic. Thank you, and we can't wait to talk more sports with you guys and answer more of your questions. So again, guys, thank you so much as always. Much love. Peace out, Boom Crew.